great Odin's raven.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
This is ridiculous. Okay, I'll go.
Hello and welcome to the FilmPulse.net podcast, episode number 34. My name is Adam, and today I'm joined, as always, by Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
Cold.
Cold up there.
Cold.
Cold up north, huh?
Yeah. Autumn's here.
It's kind of hot down here, actually. It's pretty nice out. Pretty breezy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, a little breezy. This week we'll be reviewing Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. We'll also be highlighting some Amazon Blu Ray deals. We'll be making our weekly movie predictions. And finally, we'll be going over this week's DVD and Blu Ray releases. First, I want to make a note. We have recorded the Haneke Roundtable. So that is done. We're just waiting to put it out. We don't know if we're going to put it out as a normal episode or maybe put it out as a bonus. We haven't decided yet. So I'm actually editing it now. We're going to get it put out there for all of you. But it happened. It was something that happened.
We should make it a long lost episode. Never release it.
And then 10 years later, put it out there.
Put it out.
That's an idea.
There you go.
Let's talk about what we've been watching. Let's start off with you, Kevin.
Well, earlier in the week it was sort of cramming Haneke for the Haneke Roundtable. So a lot of that. Only one that I'm going to mention here because we talked about most of it in the Haneke Roundtable, but one that we didn't really get around to was The Seventh Continent, which was his first one. And God, that was tedious.
Really?
Yeah. Surprisingly, for a Haneke movie, very tedious, very dark, and just sad. It was his first movie. So, I mean, I made a point to watch that. I always like to try and watch a director's first film to see how they are. And he is Haneke in his first film. And all subsequent other titles. But it's just, like we said in the roundtable, I get it. But just move on. Speed it up. Just sort of dealing with, like, the monotony of life. And apparently it's, like, based on a true story. Like, it actually happened, I think, in Austria. It's just a family and their daughter. And they just decide to stop, like, living and just end it all. And there is a scene where they just decide to destroy, like, everything in their house. So he goes out and buys, like, saws and hammers and sledgehammers, all this stuff. And seriously, I think it's like 30, 40 minutes, but it felt like 4 hours. They just destroy the house. That's all they do.
It's like that game show that used to be on Nickelodeon where there'd be rooms set up and the kids would have to go in and destroy it. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the name of that game show was, but it was amazing.
I can't remember the name of it either. But that was awesome. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it was like that, but not fun.
Maybe it drew inspiration from The Seventh Continent.
Maybe. That's really bizarre if it did.
Mark Summers or whoever hosted it saw it. Hey,
Mark Summers,
idea.
Mark Summers is a huge Haneke fan, apparently. But another thing, they do kill animals in it.
Of course.
Haneke, and I talked to you about it. They kill fish. He smashes, like, their big aquarium. But the worst part about it is, cameras on the fish and they're flopping around. And then they cut away. And I'm thinking, all right, good. Just come in, pick the fish up, put him back in some water. Bad enough you made him suffer. No, he cuts back to the fish and keeps the camera on them until they die. Like, he can't get enough. Even back in the beginning, he was all about killing animals.
He's a crazy guy.
There's something going on there. He needs to see somebody.
Yeah.
And then I moved on to Wuthering Heights.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I watched Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering, I guess?
Wuthering Heights.
I always just want to say weathering.
I know, the same here. And I kept getting yelled at by my wife for doing that. Based on the classic Emily Bronte novel, And you know me, I'm a huge Bronte fan. And by huge fan, I mean I've never and will never read any of those books. But, I mean, I can say that the Bronte sisters are better than, like, who's the other one? Jane Austen. Better than that. I mean, at least there's a darkness to it. I watched this because it's directed by Andrea Arnold. And I absolutely loved Fish Tank, which was her last film. And I think she's probably one of the most important female directors working right now. And I thought it was very bizarre that she was remaking Wuthering Heights. And my God, this movie's been made I don't know how many times. Like when I looked it up on IMDb.
Yeah, I looked it up too. It was like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that just gets remade all the time. I mean, they made it in 2009. Tom Hardy was in it.
Mm-hmm.
But first things first about Wuthering Heights is, oh my God, the cinematography.
It looked good.
Oh my God. Absolutely amazing. Unbelievably beautiful. But if it didn't have that, this movie would be awful. Just awful. But I think that made up for it big time, which the cinematographer is Robbie Ryan.
Yeah, I saw you gave it a 3 out of 5, and I was like, wow, that's...
Kudos to him. I thought he did an amazing job. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was going to. There was a good bit of darkness to it that I enjoyed, and I also liked the direction she went with like how they talked. She sort of kept it modern.
Yeah,
it was still set in the olden days. So like when they swore and stuff, they just swore like any teenager would nowadays.
Right.
And I like that. But the one thing that I read is like people are up in arms that the Heathcliff character was played by
a black guy.
Yeah, by an African American actor. So like I asked my wife, I'm like, is Heathcliff like actually like a white male, like a white British person? She was like, well. So we look at the book because she owns it, and it clearly states in there that he's a dark-skinned gypsy. So I don't understand why people are all up in arms about this.
Yeah, probably because no one read the book and they've only have any point of reference from all the other movie iterations.
Yeah, because 2009, Tom Hardy played Heathcliff. In 92, it was Ralph Fiennes. And then, of course, back in 39, it was Laurence Olivier. So it's always been like a white man. But clearly states in the book that he's a dark-skinned gypsy. So, deal with it.
I don't know. Maybe you could interpret that different ways. The fact that I think that they made a conscious... I think that they knew what they were doing when they made him a black guy. I think that they were trying to do something different.
Yeah. And it's just another... I don't know if you've sort of noticed this, but this... I'm sure you have, but this recent trend of like redoing all the classics, like why is this going on? Like we had Jane Eyre, now we have this. Apparently there's a new Great Expectations coming out, directed by Mike Newell, who did Donnie Brasco and the Prince of Persia movie.
Right.
So I don't know if this is like something that has to be done. Like, is there laws in cinema that every few years they have to remake all the classics? And then two things. Heathcliff is a huge dick.
Yeah, he is.
Such an asshole.
Yeah, he is. Like, I don't. The whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, what's his motivation here? Like, he's just like crazy. He's like mentally ill, I think.
Yeah, he's just. I don't know if I guess because of the Hindley character beating him all the time when he was younger. I don't know if that's what made him who he is now. But man, he really comes off as an asshole. So it was hard to sympathize with him. And he's like, essentially the main character. And I just didn't really feel anything for him. And then also necrophilia. There is necrophilia in the movie. So there you go.
Did that warrant an extra half star?
No, that took away because that whole scene was just bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't.
Because in the very beginning, I'm like, is he is he? And then, as it goes on, you're like, he is. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cinematography a lot, but for me, it wasn't enough. I know that when you watch movies, you weigh cinematography a lot more heavily than I do.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked great. I enjoyed the look of the movie, but it was one of those things where, okay, first 20 minutes, half hour, I get the look. I get it. But now let's do something. Let's do something.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that it was more style over substance.
Now, I did like it more than Jane Eyre. I will say that.
Yeah, it was definitely better than Jane Eyre.
Jane Eyre was rough. Actually, I fell asleep. I saw it in the theater. One of the very few times I fell asleep in the theater.
I think I remember in the theater just like checking my watch like every 5 minutes. Like, is this over yet?
I find movies like this with this plot, I just don't think that they hold up over time. Like,
no,
just
they don't.
Mainly because they've been done to death, but the way that we are is different now, and it's not a big deal, like...
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason I saw Jane Eyre was because Kerry Fukunaga did it, who did Sim Nombre, which I absolutely loved. So it's like that, and if, like, Wuthering Heights, if anyone else directed this, I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't want to see it at all. Same with Jane Eyre. But because those two directors were doing it, I was like, oh, gotta check it out. I just hope that she never does this again. Just keep making other movies.
I think that she'll be going back to doing her own thing.
Well, I did read in the interviews that she was saying that she would never do a period piece or like a classic, but for some reason she did. I don't know. I don't know if it was like she was sort of challenging herself maybe, but I hope that little foray into that is over. So Andrea Arnold, stop and go back to your own thing, in case you're listening. And then last night I watched Shame, which is finally got around to it, which is on my list of movies I had to watch before the end of the year. I have 8 left. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
I mean, I didn't find it well, I was bored by it. I wasn't on board with it. I know it got a lot of hype and a lot of people loved it, but I didn't hate it.
I enjoyed it. A couple of things that I really liked about it. I like the music, which was done by Harry S. Scott. Especially the end sequence where he's just like going deeper and deeper into his addiction and just nothing but music playing. There's no audible dialogue. I really liked all of that. But there was one thing that sort of bothered me, and I don't know much about sex addiction, but the whole gay club sex scene.
Yeah.
Where and I understand that they're probably trying to show that he's addicted to sex that much that he's going to resort to that. But throughout the movie, you see him using hookers. Like, wouldn't he just get a hooker?
You'd think so.
Or you would think, I mean, he's that into, his sexual addiction. Don't you think he would know of, hetero sex clubs in New York City that he could just go to?
You would think so, but I think that, they wanted to show him hitting rock bottom, and I guess that was considered to be rock bottom. And I don't, again, I don't know much about sex addiction. To me, that just seemed really unrealistic. I don't think his character would have done that at all. Like I said, I think he would have just went to a hooker, or he would know of a hetero sex club that he could have went to. Plus, I mean, he gets denied the one nightclub that he's trying to get into, and that's when he goes to the gay club. But there's so many nightclubs in New York. Yeah.
You think he's just like, oh, darn it, I didn't get into that one. Well, gay club.
I don't know.
And then the thing that bothers me is that right after that, he goes to the madam and has that 3-way. And I'm just thinking, why didn't he just go have the three-way if he needed sex that badly?
I don't know. I didn't really understand a lot of his motivations in that movie.
Yeah. And then the other thing I read that I just wanted to ask you about is I read a lot of comments saying that there was like a theme or sort of like an undercurrent that strongly suggested incest between McQueen's character and Carey Mulligan. Did you get that at all watching that movie?
I thought about it while I was watching it. Like, I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Because when she's introduced, it's, you already know that he's kind of a deviant.
Yeah.
And you're just wondering where this is going to go. And after she was introduced and they kind of established their relationship, I didn't really think it was going to happen.
No. And just a lot of people were suggesting that it happened like in their past. I was like, I didn't really get that at all.
No, I didn't get that. But, I mean, maybe.
But I did enjoy it. I think I ended up giving it like an 8.
I would probably give it a rewatch. I just, the first time I saw it, I just wasn't really on board. I felt that it was like one of those movies where they didn't have a whole lot to say, but they put in a lot of, like, the one scene that I'm thinking of is the scene where they're at the bar or whatever and she's singing.
Yeah.
And it's just, I felt like there were so many scenes that went on way too long for no real reason.
Steve McQueen definitely does that.
But I didn't
did that a lot in Hunger.
But I didn't have a problem with it in Hunger, though. I don't know why.
I think it was probably the topic. Or,
maybe
the subject.
I guess it was in Hunger. It was just a more interesting subject, I guess.
Yeah. To me, this was like a character study, but at the same time, they didn't really. I don't know. It just didn't seem like they knew enough about what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know anything about sexual addiction, so maybe they were spot on. Don't know.
I would probably give it another chance.
I think this is definitely one of those movies that you have to be in the right mood
right.
to watch this. This isn't something that you can just be like, oh, I'm going to pop in Shame.
I think that was the situation that I was in at the time. I don't think I was really fully invested.
Yeah, well, that's what took me so long to see it. Is I was just never like in the right frame of mind to be like, yeah, let me watch a movie about sexual addiction.
Seems like a fun romp.
Yeah, not really high on my to-do list.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, I mean all the other Hanekes, but we talked about that in the roundtable and The Master, which we delve into.
We will delve into The Master in just a few moments. I had a great week this week. Great week. Very, very good week. I started off a little slow. I saw Red Lights with Robert De Niro and Sigourney Weaver and Cillian Murphy and Elizabeth Olsen and Toby Jones. And the guy from, I always forget his name because he's relatively new, but he's the kid from Submarine.
Kid from Submarine.
The main character.
Oh, Craig Roberts.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, I like him too, and he was in this as well, in a smaller role. This wasn't what I expected it to be, and I didn't really like it that much, but I think one of the big issues and why I had such an issue was because it had so much going for it. It was a really interesting story. It was kind of about like Sigourney Weaver plays this professor, and Cillian Murphy's kind of her assistant, and they sort of go around and debunk people that claim to be psychics and like paranormal stuff and all that. And Robert De Niro is like the ultimate psychic. Like he's the most famous, and he's like the guy that they can never prove that he's a fraud and stuff. And it starts off good. It starts off interesting, but it just kind of falls apart by the end. And there's kind of a twist at the end that is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the story is extremely interesting, and it's directed by Rodrigo Cortez, who did Buried, which was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It had a lot going for it, but I think ultimately it just felt kind of flat.
And this one of those movies too that I thought, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, Robert De Niro's doing a good movie."
Yep.
Here we go. He's back.
Nope.
Damn.
I mean, he's okay in it. Everybody, all the actors are okay. It's just that they don't have a lot to work with. I feel like maybe it was something on a script level, but then I saw Resident Evil Damnation. This is a CG film, and it's made by Capcom, so it's stays close to the game and like the mythology of the video game. And I loved it. It was awesome. I mean, the animation alone, it's worth seeing for that.
Is this like the Final Fantasy ones? I can't remember what they were called.
Yeah, it is, but better than those.
Okay.
Because I didn't like those Final Fantasy movies. Now, this is the second Resident Evil CGI movie, and I like the first one quite a bit too. But this one, I think maybe just because it's newer, it just kind of polishes everything up, and it looks incredible. And there's humor in it. There's a lot of jokes. There's some great action. Basically everything that the live action movies aren't, this movie is. I would highly recommend checking this out if you're a fan of the series. It's very, very good. And it was surprising to me that it was good because it's a straight to Blu-ray release.
Yeah, I mean, when you say Resident Evil CGI movie,
yeah, you think
straight to DVD. I'm automatically thinking of the live action ones that are absolute shit.
Right. And
so I'm thinking this is shit.
I thought that it was going to be, but I was pleasantly surprised. It's great. That again, I can't get over the animation. It is so good in this movie. Like, you will be blown away with it.
Wow.
The character animation, the movements look really good. The animation on the actual characters themselves, nothing spectacular, but it's really the environmental shots and the lighting that they really focused on in this. And some of the lighting is just incredible.
Wow.
It looks great. Then I saw Cosmopolis, David Cronenberg's Cosmopolis. This is an interesting one. I think that a lot of people probably love this. A lot of people probably hate this. A lot of people don't get it. And I don't think it's necessarily a movie that you're supposed to really get, because there's a lot of, the majority of the movie's conversations between Robert Pattinson's character and various business associates of his, talking about very complicated business things, financial things, and stuff like that. And I don't think that you're really meant to understand exactly what they're talking about, because they don't tell you really what's going on. They kind of hint at different things, but I think that it's more about the general, the big picture.
Yeah.
With this, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that it was an interesting concept. How he's the whole movie is about him trying to get a haircut and having business meetings in his ridiculously amazing limousine.
Yeah.
With different people, and I would recommend going to see it if you're a Cronenberg fan. Certainly not my favorite of his movies, but it's great, and Robert Pattinson does a good job, good performance. Paul Giamatti does a great job in that. Your girl Binoche is in it. There's a ton of people in this movie, so
Jay Baruchel.
It's good. I would recommend it. It's still kind of, I'm still sitting with it. I'm still kind of thinking about the deeper meanings of it, but I recommend checking it out. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Another movie I enjoyed even more was Sound of My Voice. This is Low budget indie film.
Wait.
Kind of about this couple who decide to make a documentary about this cult, and they go undercover, infiltrate the cult, become members of the cult, and try to figure out what's going on. And the leader of this cult, and I don't think it's a spoiler, I think that they say it in the trailer, but she claims that she's from the future. She's from the year 2054, and this couple is trying to figure out, what this is all about and what's happening. And a lot of people, I read reviews for this, and a lot of people had problems with the ending. And since you didn't see it yet, we'll probably talk about it, not on mic, about the end, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I actually didn't have a problem with the end at all. I thought it was a very fitting end, and overall, I thought that the movie was incredible. I loved it. Might end up on my top 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see this. And I have to say that I think Brit Marlin's going to become huge. I mean, she wrote Another Earth. She wrote this movie too. She stars in both. She's in that Armitage movie with Richard Gere. And I think she's in The Company You Keep, the Robert Redford movie too. Yeah. She wrote another movie called The East.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to think that she's going to be blowing up, and I would agree. I haven't seen Another Earth yet, but
it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, I might give it a watch this week. I was actually, because my girlfriend said that she wanted to see it, so we'll probably give that a watch this week. But sound of my voice, definitely check it out. It's a low budget film, but I think I said in my Letterboxd review that it's just another example like Primer. It reminded me a lot of Primer, not necessarily the plot or the story, but just kind of how it looks, and how this movie again proves that you don't need a big budget to really put out a captivating film. And I was just into it the whole time. I didn't want it to end. One of my biggest gripes is that it is short. It's a pretty short movie, and I wanted more.
That's good. That's always a good sign.
Yeah. And then finally I saw Dredd. And I know that we talked about this a good bit on, we were kind of shitting all over it for a while there. And then early reviews started coming out. People started saying it was pretty good because it played at TIFF, I believe. And it was getting a lot of positive buzz. So I was interested. So I went to see it this weekend. And I liked it a lot. It's a surprise. It is a surprise. I have the full review on the site, so you can just go to filmpulse.net and read my full review. But I enjoyed this movie thoroughly from start to finish.
Yeah, this looks like one of those movies where, we were just sort of talking about, I don't know which podcast it was, but I was sort of stating how, for the most part, we know when a movie is going to be shit. Like 98% of the time, we're correct.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes we're proven wrong, and this looks like one of those instances.
It is, and I remember back when we were kind of criticizing it when the trailer first came out. Like, it just looks like it's a Raid ripoff. I later found out that this was actually started production before the Raid started production, so I don't think that it was ripping off the Raid. I think that it was just a coincidence. And when you actually see the movie, there is some differences, although it is kind of the same general plot. Yeah. Two people that are trapped in this 200-story apartment building and need to shoot their way out. And the violence is so over the top and outrageous. It is a whole other level of ultra violence in this movie. Like, I was surprised. I mean, I like violent movies, and they, in the trailer they show this, like, the slow-mo drug, and there's several scenes throughout the film that utilize that ultra slow motion. And there's a specific scene where there's like a shootout, and they show it in that ultra slow motion, and it is insane. I mean, bullets, like you can see the bullet traveling into like the side of someone's face, and then you just see the other side of their face exploding out, and you can see like their teeth and like their cheek, and it's like you can see like their skin flapping. And it's just so disgusting and gory. But I was loving it. I was in a packed theater. I saw it at 11:30 yesterday in the morning, and
oh wow,
the theater was packed, and everybody was just gushing over this movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. I don't want to say it's perfect. There are issues in it. There are several one-liners that don't work.
Well, that's the thing about the trailer for me that made this movie to me look like complete shit. I mean, you had the original Dredd, which was so terrible, so you were already going into it with that. But then the trailer had so many of those cheesy one-liners.
Yes,
that was just like, oh, give me a break.
And I'll tell you, most of the one-liner the movie is rife with one-liners, but there's not as many as in the trailer. Pretty much has like maybe 75% of the one-liners in the trailer. I actually liked Carl Urban as Dredd quite a bit. He was pretty awesome. Like he was cool, and the voice did bother me, and I wish he didn't do it, because he does do the Christian Bale.
Yes.
That voice.
I love how everyone does that.
But the weird thing about it is he doesn't do it consistently throughout the movie. There are several scenes where he's like talking to other characters, and he doesn't have the same voice. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that was another thing that bothered me. And it's not a perfect movie, but it is fun. It is very fun. It's pretty good looking movie. It is a low budget movie, and I found out that it's not even an American production. It's actually, I think it's a UK South African production, and the movie was filmed in Africa.
Okay.
It looks pretty good for being low budget. It looks very good. So I recommend going to see Dredd. And that's all I got, so I think we can move on and do some Amazon Blu Ray deals.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it. To get these incredible deals, just visit our site at filmpulse.net and either click on the Amazon banner and shop as you would normally, or simply click on the provided links in the show notes. First up, we have the RoboCop trilogy for $15.99.
Jeez.
Now, I'm a huge fan of the first RoboCop, and I enjoy the second RoboCop quite a bit, but the third one's garbage. But I'm still gonna pick this up just because it's $15.99, and I'm sure that it's going on sale because the new RoboCop reboot is well into production now, and they released some set footage or set stills of Joel Kinnaman in the suit, and I don't really like the suit. It's like black, and it looks completely different than the original one. Mm. I'm not too into that, but we'll see. I still have high hopes for it. Then we have, I picked this one for you, Braveheart Sapphire series.
Oh no, Braveheart finally got on the Sapphire series?
Yes, it did.
Oh, that's amazing.
Braveheart Sapphire series, $11.83, and that's Blu-ray. And then
Sapphire series.
And then finally we have 28 Weeks Later, $14.35 on that one. So, and I heard that they are talking about 28 months later now. I'm not sure if they have a director yet, but I can't remember who directed 28 Weeks Later, but it was really good. It was awesome. All right, well, let's get right into our review of The Master.
The Master.
This is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It stars Philip Seymour Hoffman, Joaquin Phoenix, and Amy Adams. And the IMDb synopsis states, a naval veteran arrives home from war, unsettled and uncertain of his future, until he's tantalized by the cause and its charismatic leader. Now, you have your review for The Master posted on the site, so...
Yeah, which was hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
I imagine it was.
This is not a movie that you can review easily. I felt as though there was so much that I didn't get to say in the review that I wanted to. You almost have to write an essay about this movie.
And I also feel like it's the type of movie that warrants several rewatches in order to really get all the nuanced things that happen in it. And that's one thing that I just love about this movie. And I should say that I loved this movie. P.T. Anderson he's the real master of this. I mean, this guy, when you see this movie, there's so many little things that he puts in that you're just like, why did he put that in? And then you realize, like, okay, because that's all part of, this big story that's happening. And I just thought the film as a whole was just incredible, and I loved every second of it. It was beautiful to look at. I mean,
oh yeah,
this movie was just amazing.
I wish I got to see this in 70 millimeter.
I know. I don't know how many theaters were actually projecting it at 70 millimeter, but I would have loved to see this in 70 millimeter. Everything about it. I mean, this has to win a ton of awards, or at least be nominated, I would say.
It's got to be nominated. Has to be.
Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. Probably the best performance I've ever seen him do. And if he doesn't, not only does he need to be nominated for the Oscar, but he needs to win, period.
Yeah. He gives an amazing performance.
I was blown away by his... Just one of the things that I loved was his posture. In this, how he had that like hunch, and how he'd put his hands on his sides.
Exactly. The way he would stand with his hands, just all the little nuances that he put into that character, you can tell that he spent so much time just creating that character. Like the way his eyes would be when he would talk to people, how he would tilt his head, just everything.
Yeah.
It's an amazing performance.
I mean, he needs to win for this. I think he did win an Oscar for Walk the Line, but he needs to win another one if that's the case. Philip Seymour Hoffman was no joke in this either. He was incredible as well.
Yeah, but to me, it's not... Like, it didn't jump out at me, because Philip Seymour Hoffman's amazing in, like, everything.
Right.
He's just always amazing.
Yes, he is. And I think, at its core, I think that although it's mainly a movie about the relationship between Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think that it focuses more on Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think that he really is the main character.
And I would even go so far as to say Amy Adams for supporting role. I think she should be nominated, which is something that I didn't get into in my review, which I was sort of bummed about. But I thought that she was really good in this movie. And I'm not really like a big fan of Amy Adams, but I'm slowly being won over. She just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she's great, but...
One scene in this movie, she gives like the most terrifying hand job ever.
Oh yeah, if I was Philip Seymour Hoffman, I don't know if I'd be able to perform in that situation.
No,
I might just have to walk away. Oh, that was and there were a lot of little scenes like that in this movie where you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
You just sort of caught off guard.
yeah, like the weird. I love the scene at the beginning when they're on the beach and he starts having sex or pretending to have sex with the sand woman.
Yeah. And then runs over to the water and
and
masturbates.
Furiously masturbating. It's certainly not a film for everyone.
No.
Did you have any walkouts in your screening?
I don't think we did.
I didn't either. And again, I was in a full theater. And I was rushing to get there. I was seeing like a 5 o'clock show or something. And I was rushing to get there on time. And I got into the theater when the trailers were playing. And it was packed. And I was like, what? Like this, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
But
and isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
I love this. Movies are just getting better. And people seem to be going to these movies
people
more
are
often than they
responding.
used to.
I was so surprised to see a full theater for The Master, and maybe this movie's getting a lot of buzz regardless. I mean, this broke the record for per theater screenings opening weekend, I believe, with $146,000 per theater, and it was only opening in 5 theaters. So
That's awesome. Because I don't know about you, but when The Master was announced and the release day was set, this was the Avengers. Like, this is my blockbuster for the year. I've been waiting all year for this. And I was so giddy. And I was just so happy that it came to a theater that I could go see it. And I didn't have to drive, the whole way to Baltimore to see this.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of movies that were slated to come out this year that I'm just beside myself with excitement. I think Looper is out there.
I mean, the next couple of weeks are going to be amazing.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything else regarding... we're not going to go into spoilers or anything like that for this, but a lot of people are talking about the correlation between this and Scientology, and I wanted to just bring that up briefly because Paul Thomas Anderson came out and said, look, it's not about Scientology, it's not about L. Ron Hubbard, all this stuff. But I read an article recently that pretty much what it does is it lines up The Master side by side with L. Ron Hubbard's life and Scientology, and it's the same.
Pretty much.
It's almost the exact same.
Yeah, because I did a little bit for the review because I was wondering, how much, because I don't really know anything about Scientology, and I know even less of L. Ron Hubbard besides, the books that he's written.
Right.
And, one of the first thing was, the processing and all that stuff that Lancaster Dodd's character did. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, is this legit? Is this actually something that Scientology does? And then to find out that it's Dianetics, and that L. Ron Hubbard was doing this during the 50s, and it was doing essentially exactly the same thing. So there's definitely a correlation there.
Yeah, I think that it is pretty much the same thing. Although it is to note that the movie's not about the cause. It's not about the weirdness that. It does get into that, but it's really about the strange friendship between Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's the core of this movie.
Yeah, that's really what it's about. And all the other stuff with the cause, that's all interesting, but that takes a back seat to the odd relationship between these two.
And another thing that I completely forgot about, I didn't really think about until I was done writing the review and everything, and me and my wife were talking about this movie, is that Joaquin Phoenix grew up in a cult. I don't know if you remember that. He was part of that Children of God.
Yes.
I completely forgot about that.
I did forget about that. That's weird.
Yeah. I'm guessing that probably went into why P.T. Anderson picked him, or wanted him for this movie. I would imagine.
Oh, maybe.
He's a great actor, but...
Yeah, P.T. Anderson always has a knack for picking the right people for roles. And I think that's one of the big factors in the success of his movies. I mean, imagine There Will Be Blood if Daniel Day-Lewis wasn't in it as that character. Wouldn't have worked.
No. I can't think of that movie without Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right. And
just essentially, like, I can't think about this movie without Joaquin Phoenix or Philip Seymour Hoffman in their roles.
Yeah. And now, where does this rank on your list of top Anderson movies?
Might be top 3. Magnolia, to me, is still the best. And I don't think it's ever going to be supplanted just because of, like, the personal history I have with Magnolia. So I think that's always going to be number 1. And I enjoyed it a little bit more than There Will Be Blood. I still think There Will Be Blood was better, but I think I enjoy this movie more. Yeah,
I agree. I find that The Master was more accessible and it was more entertaining. It was funnier. Mm-hmm. And that was another thing that I enjoyed about this movie is that there is quite a bit of humor in it.
Yes.
The scene, it's so funny. We're in the theater watching it. The scene when one of the exercises they have to do is to sit in a chair across from each other, and they have to stare at the other person, and one person says whatever they want to that other person for a minute, and you have to stare directly at them. You can't look away, and the other person can't respond. They just have to sit there silently. And the scene when Joaquin Phoenix says, "I want to fart in your face," I was drinking at the time, and I choked on my drink. I thought I was going to die. It was so funny.
Oh, and that's another thing to mention is the very first scene with, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix when they're doing the first session of processing.
Right. Incredible.
That scene was just amazing.
Incredible.
So unbelievable.
Blew my mind. That wasn't actually my favorite scene in the movie, and I'm not giving it away. My favorite scene was actually the jail scene when both of them, because I felt like maybe it was just me kind of projecting, but I felt like that was the scene that sort of encapsulated the entire movie. Just the shot with the two of them in jail, Joaquin Phoenix exploding on one side, and Philip Seymour Hoffman just kind of standing there silently on the other side, and then them kind of getting into their confrontation. Like, I felt like that was like the big culminating scene for me.
Yeah, I read a review with P.T. Anderson where they were talking about that scene, and like Joaquin Phoenix just sort of made up like everything that he was doing. And he was talking about how he started kicking the toilet, and he didn't know that you could do that. Like, completely explode like that. I just thought that was amazing when he's like slamming his back on the top bunk.
Yeah, they didn't plan on that toilet breaking like it did. That was my favorite scene in the movie. I just thought that was just incredible. But for me, I still like Magnolia the best as well, and I think Boogie Nights is probably still number 2 for me, but The Master, I think, is taking up the 3rd spot with There Will Be Blood dropping a spot to number 4.
Yeah. I think, for me, P.T. Anderson, ranking P.T. Anderson is like ranking Wes Anderson.
Right.
I like all of them.
I like all of them. I don't want to say that there were any that I didn't like. In fact, I think I would go as far to say that I loved all his movies. I do need to see Hard 8 again, so...
Yeah, same here. And I'm one of those people that really loved Punch Drunk Love.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. And a lot of people think that's like his weakest film, but for whatever reason, that's one that I really like.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's just because I see myself in Adam Sandler's character in spots, just because he's an odd person that doesn't know how to interact with people.
I think that the people that don't like that as much are people that were going to see it expecting an Adam Sandler movie, or you have the P.T. Anderson, kind of artsy-fartsy fanboys that go to it and discredit it because Adam Sandler's in it.
Yeah.
So I think that one had some people not liking it, but I think it was great.
There's a couple things in the review that I didn't get to. So I was going to just go over a couple of them. right here and now. Number one is the music. Absolutely love Johnny Greenwood's score for this. The guitars from Radiohead.
Yes.
I mean, he does an amazing job. The music has so much tension to it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's sort of calm, but it explodes in certain spots.
Yeah, exactly. And it was almost dreamlike at times. I loved the score.
So I really hope he gets nominated for that. I think he's definitely deserving in that area. The other thing was, I sort of touched on it in the review where I saw Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman as essentially the same, dealing with the same problems. To me, Joaquin Phoenix, the way he dealt with it was he just drank. And I mean, he drank everything. Just blew my mind what he used to make alcohol. Just like fuel, paint thinner, Lysol, film processing chemicals that he was this like unbelievable chemist, but just using it for alcohol. I don't understand how all of them didn't just die after drinking that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, Lancaster Dodd's character, it has the same problems, but he's just using this like ultra scientific mumbo jumbo to try and make sense of it all. And you're just looking, he's having just as hard a time dealing with everything as Joaquin Phoenix is. It's like, just drink. Joaquin Phoenix is having a little bit easier time with it.
And one of the things, and I agree with you, I think that also Joaquin Phoenix expresses himself more with a more physical manner, whereas Philip Seymour Hoffman is more of an emotional, verbal person. Especially I think that really shows in the scene when he flips out on Laura Dern for almost no reason. So I think that they're both slightly unstable.
Well, that's one of the things too. Like when you first see Joaquin Phoenix's character, and he's talking about, you got to be able to subdue your savage ways, and you got to be able to cure yourself of it. And just over and over, Joaquin Phoenix shows you that you can't. Like, it's a part of being human. So he's pretty much discrediting everything Lancaster Dodd's trying to do. And then even Lancaster Dodd himself, like when the guy at the dinner party or whatever it is asking all the accusatory questions, and he just sort of explodes and calls him a pig fuck. I mean, he's essentially showing that you can't do it. And that's what I thought, the Freddie Quell character I thought was more genuine and human than the Lancaster Dodd character.
Well, the interesting thing, we know the motivations for the most part. We know why Joaquin Phoenix is the way he is. Clearly, he has some kind of PTSD from the war. But what we don't know is really why Philip Seymour Hoffman is the way he is. I agree that they are very similar. They're kind of two sides of the same coin, but I'm just wondering why Philip Seymour Hoffman always seemed to be just barely in control of himself.
Yeah. And I think if you look at it, both of them had sort of the same vices. They both liked to drink.
Right.
They both liked to womanize, even though you didn't really get a sense of it as much with the Lancaster Dodd character, but you knew it was there. And that's what came about in the whole terrifying hand job scene. And I think both of them are just trying to escape essentially their life or their past. Freddie Quell's escaping his past and what happened in the war and everything, and Lancaster Dodd's just trying to escape all of his critics and his naysayers and just trying to get away.
Yeah, that's true.
But another thing that I wanted to touch on that I didn't get to in the review is that a very poignant scene at the end, which was one of my favorite lines of the entire movie, is when Lancaster says to Freddie, "If you can find a way to live life without serving a master, tell the rest of us." Because essentially that's what they're all looking for, is to be able to live free and not be controlled by something. In Freddie's instance, his past and his alcoholism. And I just thought that was a really poignant line, and sort of a way of Lancaster saying that, like, I haven't found the way. Even though I say that I'm the master and I know all this stuff, I'm essentially a fraud, but I'm still looking. And I also thought that Amy Adams' character as, Lancaster Dodd's wife sort of came off as his master. Yes. Like, she seemed extremely controlling of him and made all the decisions and was just sort of essentially just told him what to do and what he needed to do. Essentially saying that you can't be friends with Freddie Quell. You need to get rid of him. And it's just, they had such a odd relationship, but you could definitely tell that it was like a strong bond between the two of them.
So there you have it. The Master. Excellent film. Kevin, you gave it 8 out of 10?
I give it an 8 out of 10, yeah.
I give it a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I don't know. I guess that would translate to an 8.5 or something around there. I'd give it an 8 or an 8.5. I wouldn't give it a 9. I don't know. Maybe that would knock me down to a 4 on Letterboxd, but
I would have to say that it's definitely a rewatch.
Oh yeah.
I definitely want to see this again. And it's one of those movies that I just kept thinking. I mean, hell, it took me like 3 hours almost to write that review because I just kept thinking of other things, and then even after I was done, I started thinking of other things that I wanted to say, and it's just, like I said, you need to write an essay about this movie, not a just.
I'm sure there will be plenty of essays written about this movie. So check it out, The Master. It's playing. It's got a wider release now, so it should be playing in your area. I think it's still at just under 800 theaters, but check it out. Highly recommend it. Let's move on and go over our movie predictions for the week. We said Dredd 3D. You said 80. These are Rotten Tomatoes scores. You said 80. I said 82. Actual 78. You swept the week, by the way. You got all three of the ones we did.
That's what I'm talking about.
House at the End of the Street. You said 30. I said 45. Actual 14. Ouch. Ooh. Looks like Jennifer Lawrence made a misstep.
Ooh.
Then we have End of Watch. You said 84. I said 76. Actual 85 for End of Watch.
Ooh.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check this out yet. Our contributor Daniel saw it and posted a review. He gave it a 6.5. So I don't know. Next week, big week next week. Looper.
I can't wait.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking on Looper?
Looper. Man. Thinking like a 92.
That's good. That's a good choice. I'm going to say 93. All right, then we have
Okay, you asshole.
Then we have some other ones that aren't quite as exciting. Hotel Transylvania.
Yes.
I'm going to say 50.
I'm going to say, I think this would be a little bit better. I'm going to say like a 61.
I have no interest in it, but I hope it'll be good. Then we have Won't Back Down. This is that Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yes.
It's about like teachers, isn't it?
It's about something.
What do you think on this one?
I'm going to go 80.
80 on that? Okay. I'm going to say...
This is a tough one. It's either going to be good, critics are going to love it, or they're going to absolutely hate it.
82, I'm going to say.
All right.
And then we have Pitch Perfect. I actually know someone that's in this movie, but that doesn't mean I think that it's gonna be good. I'm gonna say...
That's right, you do know someone. Who do you know that's in this movie?
CJ Perry.
CJ Perry, that's right.
Yes, I do know her. I was gonna try to interview her for the show, and then for some reason I didn't. I don't know. We might have her on at some point. I'm gonna say 42.
I'm gonna say you're going 42.
It doesn't look good to me, but
no. I'm gonna say like a 48.
All right, that does it for next week. So we'll be doing our feature review of Looper on the show next week. And then we have DVD and Blu Ray releases for Tuesday, September 25th. Let's do this. We got The Avengers, another big one. I'm really excited for this one, so I'm gonna.
What's that movie about?
I'm gonna highly recommend picking this up on Blu-ray. If you don't, you're an asshole.
I probably won't.
Then you should at least rent it.
Oh, yeah, I'm probably gonna.
You don't really buy a lot of Blu-rays though, so.
No.
Another recommendation: Clown comes out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Check it out.
Check that one out, definitely.
And then check out the TV show.
Yes,
I do find the TV show to be better.
I think the TV show is better as well. Very funny. If you like Curb Your Enthusiasm, you'll like Clown. We talked about it a million times on the show. And Eating Raoul on Criterion. This is... I just watched this recently on Hulu, and it was okay. I thought it was pretty good, but I would be interested to see the Criterion Blu-ray and see what kind of special features and stuff, so I might be picking this up. And we give recommendations to everything on Criterion, so...
Oh, yeah.
That's all I got.
I got a couple. Another Criterion that's coming out is The Game.
Oh, I didn't know that was coming out next Tuesday. Shit.
David Fincher, Blu-ray, Criterion, commentary, an hour's worth of exclusive behind-the-scene footage, alternate ending, and, of course, like they always do, a booklet with some essays about the film. So you definitely got to check that out, because The Game, to me, is one of those... When people talk about David Fincher, they don't seem to talk about The Game.
I think they forget. I think they forget that he did that.
And I think it's one of his best. I absolutely loved The Game.
Yeah, I'll be picking this one up. I cannot... When they announced that, I was like, yes. And the cover? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. The cover's amazing. One other movie is... I mean, this is really for only a select group of people, but I'm definitely interested in it, is Gerhard Richter Painting, which is a documentary that follows Gerhard Richter, who's a German painter, and he's one of my favorite painters. And the weird thing that I found out about this guy is I used like the same technique, and I didn't even know about it. And then I was at I think it was the Philadelphia Art Museum, and they had this huge Gerhard Richter painting. And I was like, oh, that looks like the stuff I do. So I was a little bit excited that I paint like this guy without knowing it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. There were a couple other things that I wanted to mention.
Oh, Damsels in Distress too.
That one's, for some reason, it was on my list, but I just forgot to read it. Damsels in Distress comes out. You had an interest in this one, but I did not. So maybe you could check that out and...
Yeah, I'll probably... I don't know if I'm going to, run to it. At some point in time, I'll get around to it, probably.
Let us know. Just let us know what you thought about that. Also, American Horror Story, the complete first season, comes out. If you haven't checked out American Horror Story, the new season's going to be starting, I think, pretty soon. I think sometime in October. So get caught up. It's a great show. I love it.
Ooh, and I just saw here Portlandia seasons 1 and 2.
That's the other one that's on my list. Yes. The third season of Portlandia is going to be starting soon, so
yes,
they're putting out those. If you haven't checked out Portlandia, please do that as well, because it's another great show. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that does it.
All right.
I think that's a
show. Knocked that one out. Knocked it out.
Knocked that one out. For all the latest film news and reviews, visit us at filmpulse.net. We want to hear your feedback. Send us an email at feedback@filmpulse.net or call our voicemail line at 850-391-6071. Also, please take a minute to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that. And make sure you hit the donate buttons down at the bottom of the post. We appreciate that even more. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And we will see you on Wednesday for Ryan Watches a Movie, when we have him watch Primer in honor of Looper.
Don't you think he would know if like hetero gay